Good evening. Johnno here, back with UGB on what has been another terrible day if you're a Man United fan and an England cricket fan. So, yes, where to start today? I've completely given up all hope. I mean, it looks like we're not even going to make the Champions Trophy
I saw that.
in 2025.
Yeah, I saw that. You have to come 7th, right, out of 10. And I'm
Yeah,
pretty
the top 7th,
I
yeah.
think you have to win your next 3 games in order to qualify. Or maybe it's win the next 2 of the 3, I think it is, right? Something like that.
I mean, I can't see us beating Australia, considering how well they're playing and how poorly we're playing.
Yeah.
And I think Pakistan, they had a real good game against South Africa the other day. They found some form, and the Netherlands could quite easily roll us over as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's really tough to watch. It's just we sort of were talking about this off air a little bit earlier. It just looks like they've completely lost confidence. I don't think it's through lack of preparation or lack of training, or I think it's just what is that old adage saying that winning's a habit, and I think unfortunately they've got into the habit of losing at the moment, and they've just got no confidence. So it's a really tough position for England to be in.
it's almost a tough cycle to break, isn't it? Like almost winning becomes a habit, like you say, and then it's hard to stop winning. But same with losing, incredibly difficult just to turn the tide, I guess. I want to give a quick shout out to Maxine Harding, who Robbo and I met in, we'd call it Slaithwaite, but the locals call it Slowit. That was the where we stopped. And we met Maxine and a load of her friends in the pub. It was after day one of the Headingley to Manchester leg before of the walk. So, but yeah, she just texted me earlier just saying what is going on with this England cricket side. So, but yeah, Maxine was ace. She basically walked around the entire town that evening trying to get people to donate to us, including accosting 2 young lads in the kebab shop and made them put a fiver in each. So yeah, no, it was fantastic to meet her, and it's great that she's still listening and staying in touch. But it's obviously not just us; that everybody's feeling the same way about this England side of the World Cup.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you look at the 2 chalks and cheeses at the moment. India today, they just don't look like they can lose, right? They're
Yeah,
just on 6 consecutive World Cup win. Did really well to get up to that 2-3-2. I thought England bowled superbly well. Works in the beginning. I thought
yeah.
they came out, and did what they had to. Rohit Sharma just looks like he's churning out runs for fun. The 2 additions to the side in place of Hardik Pandya in Sky and Shami both performed.
Oh, yeah.
I can't see Pandya getting back into that side unless they want to drop maybe one of the seamers, but I can't see him taking either of those 2 places. So yeah, it's a
It gives them a balance as well, doesn't it? I think
yeah, yeah,
2 players for the price of 1. Really, I know Thakur's obviously had to make way, but Shami, I think he was on a hat trick again today,
yeah,
wasn't he?
yeah.
Just on Rohit Sharma, before I forget, did you see the look he gave the umpire when the umpire gave him out off Mark Wood and then it was overturned on
No, I
review?
didn't.
He gave the umpire the single filthiest look, as if to say, "How dare you like, even consider giving me out?" It was quite funny, to be fair.
Yeah,
But England did a lot right in the first half. Like finally, Chris Wokes looked something like you would expect Chris Wokes to look like. Bowled a good spell, hit areas. I think the wicket probably helped England a little bit because it was a bit too paced. But again, the batting woes. I mean, I don't know. Did you watch most of it? Did you
yeah,
see this
I did.
like in real
Yeah, I
time?
did. I did.
So when I thought Bumrah was incredibly clever because they put a second slip in, and the commentary team was saying he's basically saying to Joe Root that he's going to bowl back of length here. But in my head, I'm then thinking, well, surely he's just going to bowl full and
Yeah,
straight and play the old double
yeah,
bluff. Now, if me as a clubby going, if you think he's going to bowl back of length, right, you've still got to be able to cover up the double
mhm,
bluff. So just get your front foot down the wicket, take the LBW out if he does double bluff you, and then you can always leave one that's back of length anyway. But he's just been suckered in
what
completely.
you gotta remember is that's one of Joe Root's strongest shots, and, they often
Mm,
say that, you get out to your strongest shots a lot of the time, and it was too early in the innings to be playing that, so, yeah, I mean, why he reviewed it, I have no idea. I mean, it's not like it was
no.
missing anything. It wasn't like it was clipping or it was, hitting.
It was missing off stump. I think it was smashing into middle
Yeah,
and late, wasn't
exactly,
it?
yeah. Very strange
But
decision to see him review that, and then I don't know what Stokes was doing when he was batting. It looked like he was worried about getting
Weird.
hit. He was running away. He was almost on square legs, toes at one stage. He was running away so much.
Yeah. He's a kind of real up for the fight, in your face kind of cricketer. Comes in, takes the bull by the horns, like really, really surprising. I think they're all just cooked
Yeah,
mentally, but to go into that atmosphere, it's probably 60,000 stadium, 59,500 at least, of which you'd expect to be Indian fans. The noise just sounded incredible. And that must be, it's like a bit of a cauldron, isn't
yeah.
it, to go into that? It must be kind of intimidating, but you'd expect this group of players to have experienced that before and to be able, they're world class players.
It's not like they're not experienced. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of press talking about, is this one tournament too far for a lot of these players, and should they come in with a
Mm.
younger squad? And so it's not the experience, that's for sure. I mean, these guys have been through, done everything. As you say, it's a strange one at the moment, and it goes back to the conversation we were having a couple of days ago about the leadership. And is Matthew
Mm.
Mott, is Josh Butler doing? Maybe when you're frazzled like this, you really need a form of leadership to stand up and go, right, this is what we're going to be doing. And that just doesn't
Mm.
seem to be coming through. Maybe it is in the background, and we've been harsh on them, but as a fan watching, it's actually quite disappointing to see England doing so badly. And the talks of having the Netherlands, and the tier two nations playing, and them outplaying England, giving them the right to be there, and
Mm.
not necessarily England to be there. What does that mean for future tournaments?
I mean, I don't know if you've seen this. Owen Morgan, which surprised me actually, has actually come out on Sky and said there must be something going on in the background. So even he's called
Wow.
it and said, "Look, there's obviously something else going on that we're not yet aware of." Now, Matthew Mott and Chris Wokes have both come out and said, "Absolutely not.
Mm,
We're really tight knit. It's a great group." Of course, they're going to say that.
yeah,
They're not going to come out and say, "Oh yeah, it's a shit show. Like we can't. This is exactly what's going on, and this is why it's not been working." They've got to hunker down and all stick together, haven't they? But I think if Morgan, who isn't really known for saying anything, is saying something, then there is obviously a bit of a problem somewhere.
yeah,
But then Matthew Mott, and he spoke about it after the game. He said, "Look, me and Owen get on really well. He's still a big part of the group, and whatever else." He said, and I'll talk to him about it, because if he's seeing something that I'm not, then I'd like his opinion on
that's
it.
really
But
good. Yeah,
I think it's strange Owen Morgan to say that. I think further down the line we will find out what's happened. You'd expect through one of our many contacts. Whether it actually comes out in the kind of full media, remains to be seen. But yeah, there's just been a real strange feel around the entire tournament from an English
yeah,
perspective.
yeah. I mean, that's pretty much England done now. So there's no ways mathematically that they can
No,
qualify.
no,
They were clinging on
no,
to, a fart in the wind to try and qualify, but that's definitely not going to happen now. So
no. Yeah, absolutely. And I think any England fan that was holding out any kind of hope, even before today's game, I think it would have been very much misplaced hope
yeah,
anyway. But that's the thing. I got suckered in a bit today. I was like, well, not in terms of more in terms of today's result rather than it was qualifying. I thought, well, actually, we've got them up 230. Yes, we know it's going to spin. They've got two world class spinners. I mean, the ball that Yadav got Josh Butler with was
yeah,
was a
yeah,
fantastic delivery. But you saw this group. Can we just squeeze a little bit of pride out by getting a result, and then we get beaten by 100 runs, and it's just despair upon despair upon despair, isn't it?
yeah.
So,
One thing I wanted to bring up is, I know tomorrow's game is Sri Lanka Afghanistan, and I don't know if you've seen this, but there are so many injuries happening at the moment within that Sri Lankan side, and for that matter, a number of sides. Is the tournament too long, and are players getting injured because we're playing too much cricket in the World Cup? And I know it's their jobs and all of that sort of stuff, but yeah, I mean, you can't consistently perform at this high level consistently every single day
mm,
and then expect not to break down, as we've now seen by the Sri Lankan team, because yeah, I think they're pretty much putting out like a second 11 tomorrow.
wow. I mean, the Simon mentioned this the other night, didn't he? We're expecting them to turn around quicker. I think the average break is probably what, 3 days, but they'll be training. Probably at least they might have one day
Yeah,
off, but then so maybe the turnaround is too quick. I think there's a lot of people would agree that the format for this World Cup, everybody playing each other, is probably not been the greatest way of going about it. I personally like the idea of a 12-team World Cup, 2 groups of 6, with the top 2 going through from each, so that you then play 5 games. It probably makes the tournament a little shorter as well. I think another thing with this has been, and this has been started by the Big Bash and the IPL, and we've said for as long as we've been doing the podcast that these franchise tournaments now are taking so much time to complete. It's really hard to stay up and at it and be really keen about the whole experience because these things are taking too long.
I suppose from my point of view, I quite like the big group because everyone plays everyone, and we get to see more of the Netherlands, more of Afghanistan. We get to see them playing against some of the sides. And, from my point of view, they've actually proven and earned their right to be there. If they'd been in those smaller groups, they would have played less games, as much exposure, Yeah, I quite liked. I don't like the length of it. Don't get me wrong there, but it means that they have to play quicker or play 2 games a day, or I don't know quite what the answer is, but I quite like it when everybody plays everyone. But I'm sure that other people have different opinions. As you said, you've got the 2 groups of 6, but then top 2 qualify. Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, this World Cup, and I've quite enjoyed it. I know it's been long, but I've pretty much watched, or kept in touch with a lot of the cricket as to what's going on, checking up on the scores while working, while commuting, and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it's been enjoyable so far. I haven't actually found myself bored yet.
No, I wouldn't say it's been boring, because I think that the results have, and with some of the shock results, it's kept it interesting,
Yeah.
hasn't it? We were talking about the Champions Trophy.
Yeah.
If Pakistan finish in the top 8,
Yes.
does that then mean that you can finish 8th and qualify? Because they qualify automatically as hosts.
Good question.
Or is there another qualifying procedure?
Yeah. I mean, if you remember the World Cup, right? Because we had to play those games to qualify for the World Cup. So I think England are now going to have to go through that, aren't they? Or is that not how it works? I don't know.
For 2027, yes, but for the Champions Trophy, I think it's the top 8 from the World Cup.
Got it.
But top 7 from the World Cup plus the host. But obviously Pakistan at the minute are in 6th. If that then bumped it down to the top 8, well, if it's the top 8, including Pakistan, then that would mean that if the standings remained as they are now, then both Afghanistan and the Netherlands would end up playing in the Champions Trophy, which I think would be fantastic for them.
Yeah, because Pakistan's next games are Bangladesh, New Zealand, and England. Those are the next 3 games,
right? Yeah,
New Zealand. I actually don't have all of them at the moment, but I mean, I'd fancy Pakistan to roll over Bangladesh and possibly England.
Yeah.
So that'll put them.
I can't see England, to be honest.
Another thing that was noticed today: not as many runs as we've seen in the other games. Obvious reasons. The pitch looked a lot different. What is your more favorable format, where the pitches are roads and the batsmen just swing through the line and clear the boundary, or a bit of skill from the bowler? Like the ball that Wokes got Shubman Gill out with was did nip back in.
Oh yeah, so the one that nipped back.
So good to watch.
Yeah, I think a contest between bat and ball is always preferable to watching people bang it in the middle of next week and scoring 350, 429 or 428 like New Zealand got the other week. Yeah. I prefer a fairer contest. Now, I noticed that today this game was played on red soil, so I do think that the red soil wickets turn more generally a bit slower than the black soil wickets. I think a lot of that's dependent on where you play in. Some squares have half a block of one style, half a block of another. Some are all one, some are all another, I think. So, I think a contest between bat and ball, it can't just be about who's going to hit most sixes and most boundaries. And, it's becoming more of a batter's game anyway, certainly in the white ball stuff, the white ball format. So we shall see. But, yeah, another pretty chastising day as an England fan. Then I watched United lose 3-0 to City. My only small hope now is that Max Verstappen doesn't win the Formula One in Mexico tonight.
It's currently on as we speak.
Yes, so I'm going to probably go downstairs and try and catch a little bit of that. That's the only way that my day can get slightly better. I've been terribly hungover today. Obviously, you edited the pod that Simon and I did last night. We'd probably had a couple of bottles of wine by then, and crikey did we climb into it afterwards. And then my son decided to wake up at 1 o'clock and did not want to go back to sleep.
Perfect.
So it's been a very long day
Sounds like
for
a
Johnno
early
Gordon.
night tonight then, yeah.
Very much so, an early night. So yes, on that note, I think will it be me and Simon again tomorrow to talk after,
Possibly.
or is it you and Simon?
Probably me and Simon for a change.
Okay.
We'll give you a night off.
Thank you, God. I've been waiting for this for a amount of time. To be fair,
Yeah.
I feel like I've done all my catching up. But no, look, we all enjoyed doing them all the
Exactly.
time, don't we? So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in. 2 out of the 3 of us will be back with you tomorrow to discuss Afghanistan, Sri Lanka. And if we find out anything more from our moles out in India about what might be going in within the England dressing room, then we'll bring that to you. But until then, ta-ta for now.